got a little map because I thought it'd be quite cool to show people. You're from the deep south, which I believe has some interesting aspects to it. So apparently these are some stereotypes. Indians from the deep south are very smart, usually have dark skin and long names. So you took at least a couple of those. But I'm going to share my screen quickly. Here we go. Reshmi of House Muring Athin Parumbil. I actually had a challenge to spell your name backwards, but I won't do that now because it'll take really long. You're obviously a very serious individual. Why is this not going to the next slide? And I think it really doesn't matter what background you're pictured against. You're always very, very serious. But then just to share with everyone where you're from. So this is the map I found online. And I think you're quite deep south, even within the deep south, from what I can see.
I'm kind of in the middle of that state.
How do you say the city that you're from? I didn't want to try it because TH with an Indian accent is not the same as with a white male accent.
It's Thrissur.
Okay, very cool. And just to say, just as a total side project, what was super interesting to me is that there's 16 endemic birds from this area, which is super high, including this bad boy, which is endangered according to the IUCN. This is Nilgiri laughing thrush. So it's an area of a lot of interest to me, just as a total random aside. That's it in terms of my presentation.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I've gone light on you. I've gone super light on you, don't worry. You also, though, I believe, moved to King Williamstown when you came across here. You care to elaborate on why you would go there of all places?
Yeah, I mean, at 4, I didn't have much of a choice, but my dad's brother is also a doctor, my dad as well, and he...
That is a shock. I'm shocked.
And my uncle was, he married a South African woman and he settled down in King Williamstown, and my dad joined him at the same hospital, and then we moved over.
Okay, very interesting. And then I believe you moved to study in Pretoria. Why on earth would you do that?
Well, actually, it was a logical decision for an 18-year-old. One, it was really far away from home. But 2, it was, at the time, based on my limited research, the best school for architecture, which is what I was going to be studying.
Okay, that's very cool. I'll get to architecture now, but I just want to ask, and I assume when you were arrested there, was that because you were partying in Hatfield Square?
No, actually, we weren't allowed in Hatfield Square as first-year res girls. So for the first, I think it was six months or so, we weren't allowed to go in there. So we had these res socials for the most part, and then after that, nobody attended res socials because you could go to Hatfield Square.
Okay. Just a random aside, I once went to Hatfield Square. It was the only fight that I've ever been involved in. I wasn't specifically involved in the fight, but all of the people I was with were immediately taken out and bloodied nosed. So I did what I refer to as the duck, cover, and roll and got out.
I'm not completely surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it was the right strategy. So you mentioned architecture. You studied that. I was particularly interested by the fact that you said you didn't enjoy it so much because you found it, and I quote, quite siloed, which seems like a weird thing for architects to do, silo yourselves. But then you took a general interest in renewable energy, and as you worded it, when you found out about the ASDU, you had to get involved.
Is there a question in there?
No, just leading you on, basically. Yeah.
Oh.
But what I will say though is that you're obviously a woman who goes after what you want. You're very career focused by the looks of it, and you've done some amazing work for marginalized groups. So you've led work on women in STEM, and now with ASDU on those that are less privileged than the rest of us. So that's commendable, and I actually don't really want to take or make a joke about that, so I'm just going to let that land.
Oh, thank you.
What I will say though, which is, and just to further that, and I know this is probably premature, but it is worth sharing with the group, that you've been shortlisted for 200 young South Africans, Male and Guardian 200 young South Africans. I think irrespective of the outcome, well done. That's a great success.
Thank you.
What I will say, though, which detracts from it slightly, is that you're doing so, but we've already had quite a few Green Capers get this award, and I'm thinking specifically of Mike, Jack, and Sam. And the fact that they beat you to that, particularly as white males, so it's much harder for them to get an award like this, sort of ruins the effect a little bit. But
I'll
yeah,
take
well
it
done.
still, if they want me to.
I think what's really interesting about you is despite evidently being very career focused, you've also pursued a deep romantic connection, which is your recent marriage.
Yeah, that would seem that way. Hey.
Yeah, which a couple of people have described as the perfect wedding. Would you say that's
It was
accurate?
pretty good. I enjoyed myself.
To be honest, I think that was a mistake, because it can only go downhill from the perfect wedding, surely. I also want to just mention, obviously, some role models in your life. Is there anyone who jumps out at you as a role model?
Sure. No, there are a lot of people that I lean on for inspiration, but no one specific person, although the first person I go to for anything is my dad. So I guess maybe him.
I believe he made an amazing speech at your wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
basically he called Mick a joke. That was the crux of the speech, but it was pretty good otherwise too.
So, doesn't sound so amazing, but all right. I'm just interested to know if in any way Jack is a role model to you.
Sure, he has his role model-y days.
That was not convincing at all. Really enjoy that. Pity he's not on the line.
Is he in here at the moment?
We'll let him know. I think if everyone who's on this call can let Jack know that was really awkward for him, that would be great. Thank you. I will just say, I'm not sure what specific hobbies you have, but I think one that's pretty prominent is cooking. Would you say so?
Yes, definitely.
Is that something that Mick enjoys? Does he benefit from your cooking?
Yeah, he's enjoying it a bit too much this lockdown. He's asked me to stop making so much stuff.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because obviously you've got a notoriously bad reputation for cooking at Green Cape with your performance in our internal competition.
He doesn't know about that. He doesn't know about that though. His idea of me is untarnished.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I also I will just say that it's quite embarrassing that yet again, in another example, Jack beat you. He came second in that cooking competition, which also staggeringly Jane won, and no one knows how that happened. But yeah, so that's not so great.
There was a lot of alcohol in that cake, if I remember right, though.
In Jane's cake? Yeah, well, I mean, hello, it's Jane, and also that's about knowing your audience. Anyway, I really don't have much more by way of questions. Maybe you can just let us know what you're going to do with your weekend.
I'm going to be working on ASDU this weekend. We have another workshop. So tomorrow we're going out to Stellenbosch to train the second community leaders. And then Sunday I'm going to be pub, so probably going to do nothing. Okay,
because I just need to let you know that paper 2 has come in from the designer, so I need you to review that on Sunday. Okay, cool. Thank you. That's it for me. Thanks, Resh. You've been a sport. Silnet, over to you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys. That was Green Cape Whiteboard Radio, a subsidiary of the Hadida Press. You're welcome to stay on the line if there's any other debriefings and chats that you want to have. Otherwise, enjoy your well-deserved weekend. Thanks, Resh. Bye.